Ba, 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 ba. I've heard this title theme too much, but it never gets tiring to me. That's the end of that sentence. How's everyone doing tonight? Sai, hi, I'm assuming anyone else is here. How you doing tonight? I'm Margaret Ace Attorney as I X out of something on the other side. It's not a race, Kaito. Hope you're doing well tonight. It's just, I guess maybe it is a race just between them. And even then, whether or not James is actively participating depends on the amount of meme in his blood on that particular day. When last we left off, I think we technically just properly started the investigation, technically, for case 5, and that we were hired as a lawyer, technically. Well, I'm disrespecting your honor. He does that every now and then to people. Doesn't matter who. He just does. Nope. Give me a moment. That's one of the hate raid things. Like the hydration flow. Thank you, Saithera. Give me a moment. Report. Alright, there we go. Forewarning, for any of you who also stream on Twitch, if you get a follower named Haas and a variation of that, with anything to make it look like it says that name, same with Judge Judy Slayer, but the L is actually an uppercase I, block and report them immediately, because they're related to the hate rate stuff going on that the whole protest on the 1st was about. Alright, now, let's get into this properly. Oh man, I really didn't leave myself any dialogue lead me into this. I just said, all right, future me, figure it out. Okay then. Well, this is different. Yeah, block and report that as fast as you can. Because there's all sorts of variants of it. It's always Haas, some variants of a circle. The number 312 is usually in there somewhere. We all think it's the same person. We just don't know. Ah, look here. Oh yes, a bullet hole, and I can see the bullet still lodged in the wall. Presumably Mr. Windibank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. And he only had one bullet in it, supposedly, so, if that's his bullet, who shot him? Or if he was with his bullet, or if he was shot with his own gun, where'd that bullet come from? Well, Mr. Sholmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that. Sorry? It's all there in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps. In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It's quite a dangerous pastime. He doesn't do it often? He shouldn't even do it once! Forget about that for now, Runo. Let's examine the bullet. What's that around the bullet hole? Is it blood? Suspicious red stain on the calendar. Aha! I may well be able to help with that. What? There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo? I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris. I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see? When it comes to blood, we're all different types. Yeah, what a scientific observation. So you need this. Oh no, what's that scary looking thing? Hurley and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet. But as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch. Oh, the color of the bloodstain changed. Now we're playing with Resident Evil 2 on the N64. Or Nickelodeon's GAC. Either or. There. Does it make sense now? Yeah, I think I'm starting to understand. Good. It works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see? Yeah, how wonderful. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change color. So you can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at in a flash. Ooh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's bleeding great. So, whose blood are we looking at, then? No idea. Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood a different color, so... just find someone whose blood turns the same color and you'll know who it belongs to. In a flash. It's more like 2 flashes, really, isn't it? 1 flash or 2, this could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. So let's make note of it in the court record. Let's keep testing and adding results of it, adding the results of any other blood analysis to the portfolio. As long as I have the reagent left, sure. Green blood. Just seems wrong somehow. Oh, there's all sorts of different colors. There's pretty pinks and purples too, you know. Like I said, everyone's blood's different. I wonder what color my blood might turn out to be. Actually, I don't want to know. This officer's been staring intently at the wall since before we came in. Shh, keep it down. Oh, sorry. There's a major clue just here. Really? Then we must tell Greggsy at once. But as soon as I report it, that'll be it. I'll be stuck here even longer. Stuck here? What do you mean? I haven't been home in 2 days already. Well, you know the constable relieved me to take over my shift. Ah, he really have a tough time with the British police. That doesn't stop us investigating, though, does it? No, I suppose not. I'm fairly sure it was the calendar he was peering at. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we go, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again. Oh, yes, that's a folding stereoscope. Really? This is a stereoscope? Mr. Shelm showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that, he used the great big contraption over there. Well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is a much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling prints you can use in them. I have a little collection myself. I wonder if I can make money out of these in Japan. I'd be keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. This is that strange contraption that you see pictures of things that they're right in front of your eyes. Makes you think... When Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. Thinker statue. These shelves are where the pawnbroker puts articles that have been forfeited on display for his customers to buy. Yeah, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would buy this horse statue, for example? Well, sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know. Are you alright, Muno? Oh, it's just... Well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but... You pick out individual things. You can't help wishing you owned them. Even that horse statue. That's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever. Damn it, no comments about the thinker statue. Who the fuck puts shoes up high in the air like that? The hats make sense. Because they're supposed to go up high. That's a bucket. Who the fuck puts shoes up that high? Or a trumpet. That's a music box. Do you have them where you come from, Runo? Yeah, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan. Oh, well, this'll be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound? It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks. Shoes like that shows this place sells drugs. Maybe. Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Gregsy to have a word. Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. The police are scouring every inch of this place by the look of it. Instructions from the yard to examine every article in the shop and every ledger and book of accounts. Every article? But that's a ridiculous amount of work, surely. We've been hard at it ever since the shop was declared as a crime scene in the early hours. We're sitting through it all in the shifts at least, but still. They'll be walking through the night, that's for sure. Even though we'll barely have scratched the surface. A crime and a pawnbrokers. Must be every policeman's life's worst nightmare. It is every culprit's worst nightmare, you know? A crime and a pawnbrokers. There's the article ledger here in Mr. Winderbank's notes, and... Huh? What's this? It looks as though someone left a little photographic print behind. Oh, look on the back. There's some writing. Is there? Ooh, show us, Susie. Show us. February 15th, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited. Oh, it's the photo from earlier. You ever get upset that the people who went through the pandemic and their lanterns at least got to do with some cocaine in their Coca-Cola? Oh. Man. Could you imagine being that hyped up from a can of Coca-Cola? Not even a can, it was a fucking glass bottle. Jesus Christ, that'd be fucking hyped up. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th of April at 10 p.m. 10:30 p.m. The gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1, and clearly was a very fine coat. In fact, I think... Yeah, this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Jeannie redeemed yesterday. And is still wearing. Which belonged to McGilded. I would never expected the redemption check to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. Seems Mr. Winderbank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have on hand. But this photograph of a cat looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact picture somewhere else recently. Oh, yeah, you're right, very recently. It's the same as the one Ginny gave us earlier. Of course, I was forgetting she gave us that print. Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruhodo? Get it out. All right, let the cogs turn. So, look at these through a stereoscope. Got it. Yeah, they're exactly the same. No, it's not. That one's facing slightly to the left. I've got it. These two photographs hide an amazing secret. Secret? What does she mean? You must tell us, Iris, at once. Do you really, really, really want to know? Yeah, we need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. I guess I need to talk to you first. So, Iris, about these two photographic prints. The one we found here at Mr. Winterbank's counter and the one Gina gave us before. What is the amazing secret you mentioned that's hidden between these two identical prints? Actually, that's not quite right. Sorry? If you look carefully, the two prints aren't the same. Not exactly. They're not? Have another look at them now. Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other? I think so. It's very subtle, though. But what's the reason for the subtle difference between the two prints? Nah, well, it's because they're a set, you see. No, I don't. This pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London's raving about them at the moment. Ah, stereoscope. Why do I feel as though I've heard that word before recently? Jim, look at camera. Really, game? I mean, you could see this technically before you reinvestigate the stereoscopes, but come on. Oh, yes, that's what Mr. Sholmes showed us yesterday. You see, there it is, just over there. Oh, yeah, of course, that magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch. Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of these contraptions. What? Really? Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? No, I have no idea. Oh, wonderful. Then I'll be able to tell you. She's over the moon, bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene. I, for one, simply have to know. Have you ever considered, Runo, how our eyes see depth in the world around us? Well, I just open them and it works. But the reason it works is because we have two eyes. Two eyes? Shocking. If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye, are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see. My brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without even telling me. Ah, I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view? Is that right? No, well done, Susie. You're so quick. So if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'll be able to see depth in the prints? Yes, Runo. You're beginning to understand. And a stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that. Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all. You can? Really? Just turn on the 3D slider. Forehead. Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope. Oh, yes, I'm dying to have a go. Susato-san really loves this kind of thing. You need to be able to cross your eyes. That's the main thing. Can you both do that? Cross my... I think I can. Watch me and see if you can copy. Make your eyes do this. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? There, how's that? Wonderful. Now it's your turn, Runo. So someone definitely has these faces as emotes out there on Twitch, right? The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time. Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Alright, that's enough practice. Now let's try it looking at the prints. Start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes. You should see two overlapping images like this. You try it now, Runo. I'm just gonna have to give it a try, I suppose. Did the print split into two images for you? Now the next step is to put the pair of prints side by side like this and try crossing your eyes again. The prints should slowly merge together until... they form a new single image in the center. Oh, yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works! I can see you in the middle now. It looks so real! Oh, I could just look at it all day. I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt. Your turn, Runo. Pretend you're looking through the two pictures, and slowly cross your eyes. Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the two images overlap exactly in the middle. Like this? Is it? There, you managed it. So now you know how stereoscopic images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary. So what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Runo? They're certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them correctly. Correctly? What the McFuck? Can I do it? If it's probably not on the screen, I can. Because I learned about this back in, like, high school biology, I think. No, some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Oh, I recognize that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here. Then set the pair of photographs on this in this stand at the back, and it's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now. Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently. These little machines are so affordable. Surely doesn't need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them. But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case. Stereoscopic pictures. I've never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. So the question is, why are there identical versions of this fucking thing? And more importantly, huh? Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you noticed, but there's something rather troubling here. Ryunosuke, this is a stern, you'll need that info. Yeah. I have noticed. The red smear, you mean? Yeah, it looks like blood, doesn't it? I wonder if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case, yes, we need Iris. We should show this to her before we forget. Oh, that looks like blood. I would say it's from a gloved finger, almost certainly a glove made of leather. Well, don't worry, Runo.
You can leave the rest to me.
Different than calendar blood. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a color we haven't seen before, isn't it? We simply must add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although it'd be nice to find out whose blood these different colors would correspond to at some point.
Well, this particular stain of blood.
Oh, you've an idea, don't you? Do you know whose blood it is?
Do I? Yeah, I have an idea whose blood it is. Not from the color chart, but with a little deduction.
That's right. I think it's clear.
Iris, you know as well?
You first, Runo. Who do you think it belongs to?
All right, I believe this is the blood of... Well... 4 options. I doubt it'd be Gina, because as far as we've seen, unless she did get some info last night, she didn't get injured. If it's Magnus... Magnus never bled in anything we saw. So that leaves either this murder victim or this murder victim. Pop... probably wouldn't have been wearing leather gloves in his own shop unless he was leaving. So I guess it would be Mason's blood. Thrice fired Mason.
You don't sound very sure of yourself the way you trailed off there.
Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. And of course I never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice fired, though.
The victim of the omnibus case? Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice Fired Mason.
But that would mean that this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago. Which is weird, because how would that blood have gotten on there? If the ticket, or if the overcoat was left in after the murder. Wait a minute, the glove. Magnus's fucking glove. Oh, shit. Yeah, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windybanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time. It's a smear of blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night. I'm fucking dead, but I'll keep coming back to make random quotes, you fucker. Hate my arsehole. It certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint, this mark, but we know that Mr. McGilded had no injuries at the time anywhere on his body. From which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason. Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Sholmes. Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope. Yes, I think you're right, Runo. Well, very well. Let's make note of this. Is there anything left to examine? Oh, this.
Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Gregsy said.
Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. Mr. Windybank face down on the floor with Gina beside him. As the accused's legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation. Yes, of course. And we will. behind that door, that's the real scene of the crime.
Don't worry. If there are clues in there, I'll find them.
So do I have to move there? Yes, I do. It would be dumb, but I totally would have thrown in some random little reference figure in here somewhere. Like maybe a proto-blue badger. Something silly like that. Poor Iris, she's clammed up completely.
Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windibank's life was taken in this very room only last night.
Ah!
Oh, wait, Inspector! What is it now, Sunshine? My music was fading out into the distance. Let me fade.
You look at me, you take one look at me and try to one... You took one look at me and tried to run away.
You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defense lawyer, do you? I just... well... I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her.
So you weren't running away from me, you were running away from a 10-year-old?
I'm afraid this is a little much for young Iris. Some general research might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector.
Hey!
Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you?
Gregson, you're trying. And failing. I don't think that went very well.
Why? Look, I'm in the middle of investigations here, Sunshine. I told you not to get under my feet.
And we have the investigating to do ourselves. Yeah? I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say.
No, Hurley.
And inquire into how Mr. Shelm's operation's going. So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here?
Psha! You got eyes, haven't you? Use them! That's what it looks like, nothing more, nothing less.
Iris, could you lend me a hand?
So, Gregsy, what do you make of the crime scene here? Oh, yes, your ladyship. Do allow me to humbly explain. Last night, shortly after the hour, 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard attended the scene. The one and only door to the storeroom was found locked from the inside.
So it was locked from the inside.
The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officers doing?
Quite right, ma'am. Quite right. I took the liberty of smashing the door in as humbly as possible.
Oh.
As you can see, the victim was discovered prostrate on the ground, thus-wise. And next to the aforementioned body, you discovered the vile gutter child.
Are you talking about Ginny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector.
Miss Lestrade, the hapless girl, was curled up on the floor dead to the world.
She's still alive, you know. Yeah, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious.
And I'm afraid to say, she had the gun that was used in her hand.
No.
Presumably it's the gun that's still down there on the floor now.
In the pocket, we found the key to the door as well.
What? The key to this storeroom?
And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector?
Correct. All of which leaves the ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. As sticky as my infinitely responding Hannock. Should get some cheese on this. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding.
Of course it is, Inspector. Of course it is.
Gregsy, do you know anything about Hurley? Is the operation finished? Is Hurley alright? Is he?
The thing is,
Don't mince your words, Inspector, please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Sholmes is...
No, the operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well,
Out with it.
don't toss me. Yes, ma'am. They use something called a general anesthetic. It's the latest thing, renders the whole body insensitive.
The whole body anesthetized? Is that even possible?
That means the operation can be completed while the patient's fast asleep.
Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction.
The trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing if you follow. I mean, they couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took them hours to nod off, so I hear. And now the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently.
Oh my.
No one knows if it's the anesthetic still in the system or if the bloke's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes round again.
Hurley.
Only he opens his eyes, your ladyship. I swear I shall get word to you.
What a surprise! Even in matters of life and death, Mr. Sholmes has to do things his way. Actually, wait, did I have anything I could present to him? We were given this by Gina, right? Inspector, what do you make of this?
Ah, what we hear, then? A redemption ticket for the Oracle Depository, is it? Looks like someone ran out of the office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was at hand. It is the ticket from McGilden's overcoat. The one that little diver turned up with yesterday.
No, actually, no, it's not.
Really? Think you know better than me, do you?
No, I mean, I didn't mean to,
Runo's right, Gracie. It isn't the same ticket.
Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. I never doubted you, my ladyship. So, what's all this about then, if I might be so bold to ask?
This is a second ticket.
A second one.
Seems that Mr. McGilden, in fact, had another article in storage here at Windibanks.
Is that right?
2 overcoats? I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilden's overcoat.
Hey, you mean to tell me?
Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems.
I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly.
Well, according to the details in this ticket, Mr. McGillen deposited another article here with Mr. Windibank.
Oh, wait, no, this is for the box they mentioned. That's right, that's right. Let the hydration flow. Thank you, Kaito.
Yeah, I can see it written here. Small box, was it?
Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? Please tell me it's not the one that's open directly to the right of my face. It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilden. It could be an important clue.
Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes. Oh, for the hope and expectation. They haven't been ruled by the world yet. It's too much pressure. I'll lose me marbles, I will. I'll go back and...
Nom nom. Nom nom. This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector.
That's enough sauce from you, sunshine. There is one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. Articles will only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here, then.
That's right. It's been forfeited.
Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop where the forfeited items are for sale.
Yes, the shelves in front. We must search them at once.
You're wasting your time.
Oh.
There are dozens of little boxes out there, hundreds even. I can't possibly know which one might have been McGilden's. The information's not written on ledger.
Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case.
Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure.
This is getting very old. Agreed. I'm gonna have to deal with that the entirety of the second game, aren't I? Oh boy.
This is a revolver, a real one. And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windibank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You and Runo look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh.
And I've had issues with guns in the past.
But anyway, we saw Mr. Windibank with this yesterday, didn't we?
Gregson's just trying to protect his bottom line, yeah. You know, I didn't really mention it when Windibank was alive, but honestly, I did not like this bit that they went with him being suicidal at basically a penny's drop. Like, I get what they're going for, especially because different culture initially writing the game and different culture in the game itself, because it's so far ago that, to be frank, that probably could be something more relatively happening, or some words and sentences that I'm not constructing correctly in my brain. Did I have a stroke over the past 2 days? Jesus. But it really didn't. I didn't know. Not for me. That's not good. It must be the same gun. And last night, when I looked through the spy hole here in the door in the storeroom here, that was the same gun I saw in Gina's hand.
Mr. Windibank told us that he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The only bullet he had in his gun had been fired. So we can be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver.
Look at all these articles that have been deposited. The room is stuffed full of them.
I can't believe how many there are. A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings. Look.
Pieces of different people's lives quietly gathering dusk in here together.
Dusk?
Oh man, my brain.
There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here.
Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policeman shuffling around and the obvious blood.
Not much I can do about that, sunshine.
Out of all the articles in the storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked.
Ah!
What is it, Iris?
That's the box file my manuscript was being kept in.
Oh! Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles? Hazel wants to play, but she's like the epitome of that one. No take, only throw. Ah, good dog. Never surrender. Surely that's not what all this... That's what Gina was in here for. We must check inside the box at once.
Yes. Ah! It was there. Iris's story was there.
Really, it was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris?
Yes. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he said he deposited it here, but still. It's a relief to actually see it.
Really, because that's not a very well hidden frown. The police have marked the position of the body with a chalk line.
Poor Mr. Windibank. He was a nice old man.
Well, he was shot just once to the heart. Most likely the fellow died instantly. I wouldn't have felt a thing.
This must be his blood, then.
Ah! I don't like to ask at such a wretched time, Iris, but I wonder if perhaps... Don't worry, Susie. I'm ready for action.
Oh, what are you doing? Oh, God, the blood!
blue, which means that's not his blood on the calendar. So now we know the color of the chemical it turns when it reacts with Mr. Windibank's blood. It doesn't match our analysis of the blood stain we found in the main shop. No, but let's add this sample to the others we've already collected anyway. Which means someone else in this case is injured. Actually, wait, that green blood could be Herlock's. Ah! I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windibank set such a wicked trap? Good question. Is this a 3D model I can look at? Yes, it is. I can't find anything out of place. That certainly is a bunch of fucking paper that's not even binded. I doubt he set out to scare anyone. Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Jean another visit soon. No? Her trial's tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you'll be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind. Don't you remember, Runo? You told her she could rip up the representation paper if she didn't want you to be her lawyer. Really? Did I say that? Yes, you did. The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching. In that case, we better hurry up back to the prison and talk to Gina again. Alright, back to the prison. Ah, Gina, good. You're back. Ah! The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Didn't bother me. Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windibank's. Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not... Gina, we came to ask for your final decision. What decision? About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you, or not? I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see. She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. I know what that feels like. The worry's just so hard to bear. Oh, alright then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it? Unfortunately, we don't know that yet. You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime. And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we've managed to establish. Oh yeah? Like what? Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know why you broke into Windibank's that night. Looks like I'm gonna have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason. And thrust it into Gina's face. Or I could present it to her calmly, I suppose. We already have the representation papers and other documents we need. All we have to do is hand them to the court clerk. That is, if you'll allow me to represent you in court tomorrow. Nah, don't bother. Ginny, wrap them up and chuck them, would ya? Them representation papers or whatever they're called. They still ain't fancy enough to have a bin. So, what do you do in court tomorrow? I'll be fine on my own. I don't think you will be. Look, it don't matter. What's gonna happen's gonna happen. This is one stubborn pickpocket. Alright, so I guess in that case, the reason she was there. We found this in Mr. Winterbank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story.
Ah. Oh, right. Well, that's good then.
Curiously, the storeroom Winterbank showed no signs of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night?
Eh.
You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it?
Ah.
Why don't you tell us what happened? Please!
Alright, yeah, this Baskerville story. It's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figured it's gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right?
Oh yes, at least 5,000 pounds.
What?
So you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you?
No. Ginny, how could you? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I wasn't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the manuscript or whatever you call it was really there or not. That's the only reason I was in the place.
For Iris's sake? Isn't that right?
Ah.
We knew why you joined from the start, Gina. Of course we did.
But I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it. Well,
When I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you'd said that night before. The same flashback we had not even 10 minutes ago.
Oh, Ginny, that was so sweet of you. Alright, alright. I'll tell you where I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It wasn't because of Iris, that's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. You wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest, if he'd really deposited the manuscript in Winterbank's. It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. I don't know why I'm going slightly more Australian for this one. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She got a dad, only she can't see him. Especially now. For both of them. And I reckon that's gotta be harder. That's why she liked her stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me, anyway, last night when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories about Daddy?
Give me a second. I've been sent something I need to watch. What is this? Alrighty. You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective? So much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner?
Well, that's how I see it, yeah. You're so thoughtful and kind, Ginny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I ain't all this chummy nonsense, yeah? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work, because if you don't trust no one, no one can let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, Scapper.
No. I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both the sleeves of that overcoat are some very suspicious red stains.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. The bloodstain portfolio? Those stains in the seams in your new coat, Gina, they're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet.
What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo?
You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So could it be blood that spattered from Mr. Windenbank when he was shot last night?
Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else. Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Genie. I'm gonna shoot.
Oh. Oh my. What the? Forget the sleeves. The whole coat's covered in blood. Of course. The black color of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we couldn't see them until now. And purple blood. This is the coat that he was wearing when he actively stabbed him. That's why it was hidden. Huh. And the blood has reacted to the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Aha! Yes, it was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago. I knew it. What do you all know about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Oi! Would someone go explain what's going on here? Stop telling half a story! What up, party people in the place to be? Got a mighty need to set Gina free. Okay, Wind, how you doing tonight, man? We can now see that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilded's overcoat. Are we in Danganronpa? I didn't even see that till now! Oh! I've never even played that and I know about the fucking pink blood. One day, I have the first two, but in the trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony. I didn't fucking kill him! What the fuck did you think I said, you idiots? Stop making Kyle do the fucking Irish accent! He just gets stuck in it! That's the thing about it! It's addictive! But if you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. Those stains couldn't have arisen from McGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet. No, if that was what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat. The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over Mr. McGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus McGilded. Mr. Naruhodo, that horrible case is solved at last. And I helped the man walk free from that trial! I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen? Runo, did you believe him, though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent? I believed, or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to. Been enjoying playing Alloy and Genshin. You murderous fuck! I haven't started leveling her, because the way I level things in Genshin, I always do weapons, character level / ascensions, then the talents. The only exception is I am working on getting Ball all the way up first, and levels. Oh, and artifacts is before talents. So right now, like, Ball's weapons level 70, I think Alloy's is 70. For my 4th team, which is going to be those two, Barbara and Jungling, I think those weapons are at, like, 30, 40-ish. Because believing those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon.
A weapon?
Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson.
You mean Kazuma-sama?
It says things that I feel more at this brief flashback than I did throughout most of Ace Attorney 1 in terms of, like, holy shit emotions. Certified best friend.
What's funny, Gina? Of course, sounds like in this empire of Japan you come from. Everyone must be soft.
You did between your PSN account that started the UAR conquest.
Wind, can't you just link the two accounts?
Because that's how I did it. Because I play on PC primarily, but I downloaded it on my PS4 just to get Alloy. Oh no, for your mobile account. Actually, no, yeah, you should still be able to connect those. Hey, Volt, how you doing tonight? Welcome.
Well, come on. Look at the mess it's gotten you into believing in that bog trotter.
Yeah, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free.
For an hour.
Hour and a half.
Well, at least you've learned your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let your guard down, you've had it.
Yeah, I'd have burned the code. It was learned in blood too. At least it was, if it was to protect a friend, more so. The only thing is, I'm not sure how it would affect your account in this case. Because if you're at one point distinctly on one and a different point plot-wise in the other, I don't know what that can do. But I know the way you link it is you log into the same MiHoYo account. I think you can even just do that on the website.
Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one, get it by no one.
Gina, may I ask you something?
What?
I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial?
How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away.
Are you really sure that's what you want?
I bet that's what he wants on all now. Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I let him one up in the garden path, didn't I?
Finishing the Zoom activity today? Hell yeah. I'm getting up there in exploration. Southern of the New Islands is at like 88%. The Watatsumi Islands at like 76 now-ish.
And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, a lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gene after everything that's happened. And I do. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial.
Are you half-baked?
Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth.
Seriously, Mr. Naruhodo. Didn't you hear all what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off me tongue. And I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and I got you into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it.
Gina, I do understand why you chose not to put your trust into others. But I assure you, there is more to this life than you've yet to realize.
What do you mean?
The world we live in is full of people that you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down. It's true that I'm just a student of law and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side.
What do you expect me to say to that? Then it's decided. I'll take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a real shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You wasted a lot of... I don't know what you are. I don't get you.
Gina's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out all right in the end, I think.
Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping's at the height of cowardice.
Miss Susato?
Somebody's there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. What?
Blimey, you're sharp, eh?
I figured just by stuff the word blimey.
I suppose you'd be using one of those mystic Japanese arts, like the author still have heard so much about.
If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector.
Gregsy!
Oh, dear me, I most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I don't mean to startle you.
How long have you been listening to our conversation?
Good grief, listen in and... No. I just got word that there were some visitors who are refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived. This very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is. Nothing untoward, nothing at all.
After hours? Is that late already?
So then, I humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best, bye-bye and bye.
That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship.
Oh, but I wanted to have a chat.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute.
Oh, I see. That's a shame.
I'll get this emergency the Supreme Court dealt with is sharpish. Lord Strongheart will, well...
Emergency?
Lord Strongheart?
Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off.
All right, Gregsy, if you have to. Let's chat soon.
Delighted. Charmed. Can't wait. If you please, my pleasure.
That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere.
Gregsy's so funny. He says such silly things.
It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court.
I must attend to the court clerk's office now before it closes.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Mr. Sato.
Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later.
And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. And then it hit me. I could no longer suppress that wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san will be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan.
Naruhodo-san. It's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted.
What about you, Susato-san? Today's been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested, all on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon.
Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow.
One final task?
It's just 2 months ago since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I'd be lying if I said I felt no regret.
I'm so sorry, Susato-san.
It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts.
I know I've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something.
And what would that be?
It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities.
Facets?
And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we see only a small number of the total. And what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay our eyes on for as long as we live. That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it'll all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san. I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry? What? Oh, no, it was nothing. Unimportant. Who the fuck's cutting onions? Do you know what time you'll leave London for in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry? I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yeah, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible. Even though, like me, I'm sure you'll find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh, my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What's that? It's some huge bundle of documents? It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The McGilded case? It seems to me that this case of Mr. Windibank's murder, which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. With everything else she's had to think about, Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it'll bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Susato-san. I'll do my very best to use it wisely. So apparently, my friend just sent me, they revealed some of the next, like, high rank, probably 5 stars for Fire Emblem Heroes. Looks like we're getting a dual unit Leaf from Thracia with, I think that's Sigurd. Huh. Those do look like onion helmets. Jesus. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure.
What? In what world?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said there. No, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. Well, it's getting rather late. And that means it's time for me to look at this exactly, and so I can know the wordings. Deceased in the last scheduled omnibus, day after stab wound. Thrice fired mason, brickmaker, East End. Magnus McGilded. Van Zeek's me. Conviction assured by 3 eyewitness testimonies. However, surprise 4th witness's testimonies resulted in acquittal due to insufficient evidence. What would be important in that? Like, that's such a brief 2 pages.
I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something to say. Hiya! Ow! Oh, I landed on the shovel. It's a spade. It's a shovel, damn it! What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. I'm crying, but for a radically different reason. Susato-san. And there he passed out on the floor. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us and learning the truth about the nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep sounded impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind, eventually my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. The hospital? Yes, I quite understand. I'm assuming this is meant to be Sherlock. Or Herlock, sorry. Who the fuck is Sherlock? That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place, exactly as we've discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, this is probably Susato, then. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madam. What the fuck is that little doohickey on his fucking left hip? I didn't notice that until right now, because I think it's the first time we've really panned out that far. Alright. Start the trial. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside of the window, the rain came down in sheets. Terrible day for rain. And so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend then? Sorry? You know, in the fancy dress. Susato, well, however you say it. I don't know. Ah, Mr. Sato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Mr. Sato and I won't meet again. One day. Even so. But you, Gina, you only get one chance. The trial today is all we have. Now that I think about it, every trial in this game has been one trial day, hasn't it? Is this one also one trial day? And it's just absurdly long? And by that metric, does the sequel have any fucking multi-day cases? It hasn't really felt like it outside of, like, the actual investigation days. Good morning, you two. Waka hi. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Can you bring a cat into court? That feels like it might be a problem. Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend's in need, we show our support. Plus, you need a new assistant. Duh. Isn't that right, Waggy? Waggy. Great way to show your support, kitty. Let him have a nose around. What arm can it do? Oh, that reminds me. I brought a paper on the way here. Or bought a paper. Now, would you look at like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Runo? Genie? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, I always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, the question always gives people away as personalities. Let's not go there. Alright, then I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Oh, God, yeah. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So if the train's delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? Oh, I couldn't give 'em monkeys, really. If only all good news cancelled out the bad. And look, this trial has made the headlines, too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder, see? How'd you like that? Let them say what they want. See if I care. Nah, I can't, because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Runo will show everyone this headline is nonsense. I will? And then in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be Discharged driver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Runo? Oh, yes, let's hope so. Is there a way to unlink your PSN account for you to link your mobile account? I do not know. Because I'd be playing on PC, more or less, that means I play on the MiHoYo account directly, and it's not linked to any, like, Android or iOS store. You should be able to use your, whichever account you play on your mobile to log into the MiHoYo account, though, I would think. Because you still have to log in when you open up the game, so you should be able to use that account to log in and then link the PSN account to that. I would think. Maybe. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. The newspaper being entered into evidence scares me. Good luck then, Runo. I'll do what I can. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder. How awful. For Ginny, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged driver's dauntless do-gooder. Right? Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud pickpocket protects planet post-trial, perhaps. Protects planet? Ooh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's gonna be so great. There is a way in it, and you're doing it? Alrighty. There's a sensational story lower down on the front page as well. Look. Ministry mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Is this the thing that Wolfhard was freaking out about? The thing that had Gregson going over? For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communication between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted? But how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be. And it could explain why he has Gregson running from pillar to post at the moment. How the fuck are forward agencies going to be involved in this case? That scares me. Uh-huh. Obviously, I don't know what the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. I'm not sure if that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest. But thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh, yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well, I was wondering is all about Shelms. Did they fix him up all right? Yes, the operation was a great success, but Hurley still hasn't come around yet. Eh? I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. No Susato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime.
So this is his first case where he's entirely alone then, in that regard. Like, the people who've been helping him the entire way in one way or another are just not here. Susato's not here, who helped him in cases 2 through 4. Cosma's obviously very dead. And Sholmes has been there since case 2 as well, and just kind of helping around in the background of stuff where need be. Man, this really is a fucking tale of growth for him. Her bazooka's named Moral Support. I can see it too. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina's innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom.
It's time then.
Yeah. Let's go, Gina. Iris.
Lead the way, Runo.
Poor Gina. She's just trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I had to believe in her from the start to finish. That's the weapon that'll secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready.
Lord Van Zeeks,
My lord.
remind me, how many years ago that you withdrew from the public prosecution service?
It was some 5 years ago, my lord.
Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced someone unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware of that have led to this erratic behavior?
Yes, but probably not to be learned until the second game, I'm sorry to say.
In what one described as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government.
Really?
Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel.
There are 2 types of persons I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large.
He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yes, I just about managed to work that out. Thank you.
Magnus McGilded. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect a patrol betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confident tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nipponese.
Huh? Oh, so it's a grudge now. Gotcha. What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Runo. I actually managed to work that out, too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about?
That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zeek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people?
An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zeeks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors.
Your lordship is too kind.
Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial.
First off, good to see you again, John. Maid lady, nice to see you again. I'm assuming you're a doctor of some sort. Old man, typing lady, why the fuck is the Russian here?
Oh no. I think I understand why foreign stuff's gonna come to play from that newspaper all of a sudden.
Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? Former lieutenant in the British Army here. Don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready.
Clean crockery and clean cutlery and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it.
I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible, but could I have?
Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female citric feature awaits. Stop.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
Is something wrong, Runo?
No, not exactly. It's just
I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. They had limited budget to make character models.
oh, okay.
Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know.
So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped.
Very well. Now, Lord Van Zeeks. The Kurt?
Them Kurt 217 here.
The court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case.
As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of a prawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene.
Oh no, you're right. Oh no, he's here to do that. Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, this case is going to be turbulent.
As the court would observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory.
And what's that supposed to tell us?
It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone, like the accused, you might say.
Oh.
The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord.
Indeed. The court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please.
I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan, the establishment where the incident occurred. Let's take a look at those two's wordings first. 1 to 130. I'm the reporting party. Hi. Post-mortem findings. Single bullet wound in upper half. No other signs of trauma, so no fight. Postio anterior bullet wound.
Yep. That's a hole. This man has one more hole than he usually has. I guess technically 2.
Why does Winterbank's silhouette look like a fucking frog? The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry. A door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Winterbank, and the accused. Hey! It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet.
Well, that's it then, isn't it? Is that grubby little pickpocketed girl anyway? She's one of those filthy drabs that lives in the slums of East End. Ah, well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood in her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? That girl's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt just because of what she has to do to survive.
Oh, this is going to be fun. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Yay. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimony, the girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pickpurse, or cold-hearted... Cold-hearted? Cold-hearted! Cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please. Lord Van Zeeks. At once, my lord.
This isn't good. Yep, that's a plan. Right, then we can get out of the gun. This is Mr. Winterbank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Winterbank always used to keep this gun to hand at his shop on his shop counter. Yeah, but only with ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? I would like to actually see the chamber, but alright. No, that's the only point I can actually observe by the looks. Okay. Alright, very minor thing, by the way. I've never been too certain. What the fuck is this thing? Oh, wait, actually, no, I know what that is. Never mind. That's meant to keep this in place. That's the essential... It's a locking mechanism. Okay. I figured it out within a second of me asking. How has that only now occurred to me when I've seen fucking revolvers in everything since I was even a fucking child? When I was watching reruns of fucking... I think Walker, Texas Ranger used that back when. Metal Gear Solid, especially. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. And I think that's because it has. Yeah, it's an axle. It's what it spins around. At least when it's locked into place. Oh, we're removing the cape already. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Winterbank on 16th April of this year. What the fuck are those character designs? Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is, baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's, same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right. We're what they call...
Oh, sorry. I should do his voice a little higher.
The Three Skulkin Brothers.
What?
What are you looking at me like that for? Don't let me in with you, Lord. Oh, blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're here doing through? It's our order, bruv. Lost contact with them we have. We're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And then last night we come across you, the very spirit of the bloke, ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash, he is. Very spirit of him. So we decided there and then what we was gonna do. We was gonna call you... Big Brub Sulky. Come on, leave it out, you two.
Sulky Skulkin? And that's before he's run out of chips.
Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias.
What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulking brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft.
Thieves, are they? These three. Now, my lord, begging your pardon, but don't lump me in with the lot.
2 nights ago, these 2 brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime.
By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence.
Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they have witnessed its proprietor's murder.
Order, order!
The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future.
With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow.
Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of the witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw.
Happy to. 'Cause a skulkin's never skulking. Get out of it.
I love that fucking look animation.
We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the gas door was ajar, see?
It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go when it was.
Once we got inside, cold blimey lumley, we had a gunshot in the back room.
We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside.
We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just looked after that, nice and quiet.
Alright, so it wasn't who I thought it would be just based off the silhouette. A terrible coincidence it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within only the victim and the accused were found. I must say it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yeah. What's the matter, Runo? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair on the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Their names are Pear and Apple. Oh, they're quite the pair, alright. Alright, based off Rinosuke's own thoughts. No, you didn't. You fucking shot Herlock! You didn't do or take anything? Is that your story?
Well, it was bedlam soon as, wasn't it?
It wasn't Ash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me lost the lockets.
So, with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say?
That's right, Governor. Nothing we ain't more than a violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are. We're not bludgers.
We are, Nash, we are. Now we can put me dukes out on me Lucy lockets.
So, you'd clearly like us to believe...
Eh? Come again.
As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person?
Saints alive, they found a gun, you say? Ah! Blimey, Governor!
You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway.
It was.
Why the bleeding, Nora? Didn't you mention that before?
You were armed with a gun! And as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes! They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to a hospital. The great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair was arrested by the police within minutes of discovery of the crime scene. The suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel showed signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Just learned something today. What's up, Wind?
Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder go around the muzzle, as you say, Counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. Now, my learned Nipponese friend.
Yeah? So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it? Yes, it happened almost as soon as we walked through the Winterbank's door. I'll make those brothers pay. Put the bazooka down, Iris. We can do that later. Apple is Ringo. Heron Japanese is Nashi. Man, they really fucking lucked out. That Ringo is also a name in English, huh? As is Nash. What the fuck? That is the luckiest shit.
Here's you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet is missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial.
Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there!
However, the rest in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in the support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and to move on.
Evidence that these two fired the gun before they left Winterbanks that night? What wasn't their names originally? What were their Japanese names?
The court demands that all claims are affirmed with a clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbrokers that night?
The blood samples?
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio.
What on earth do you have there, Counsel?
During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains.
Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to. How arrogantly Nipponese of you.
Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio.
And you claim to have evidence that this court is demanding therein?
Yes, my lord.
No more dallying then, Counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene?
It couldn't be Winterbank, so it has to be this one.
Take that!
What is that? Explain.
It's a photographic print taken at Winterbank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident.
From the scene of the crime, is it?
Nemi and Tully Tin Pillar. There's a joke there, clearly, but I don't know what the fuck it is.
Is that a bullet hole? My eyes do not deceive me. It appears the bullet is still lodged there.
Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Winterbank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death.
The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight.
This indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been sent to the 16th. That's right. And while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. So, unrelated, but chalk on attempted murder to their charges, please.
Order! How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zeeks?
Doing my future work for me. My thanks. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street.
Eh? Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna let us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details.
Tell him, Sulky. Let the bloke straight. I have nothing to add.
So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew the testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my lonely police friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact you prefer, Lord Van Zieks? That they were there, probably. As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. Oh, so I just got rid of them being potential murderers. Gotcha. However, if that shot had found its target at Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. Ah! In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Winterbank at all. So that's it. You flubbed every single shot of that handshake.
I see. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We didn't. That's what I reckon.
Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and, let us not forget, attempted murder.
Quite a catalogue, eh, fellas? We're in for now, bruv.
Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers and questioned somewhat regularly. Where is he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appeared to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery.
Eccentric says who?
Not me, don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop.
Oh. That's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. 8:30. I appreciate the picture of that golden retriever. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer to the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here. And here. Well, that leaves a fucking blind spot and a half, don't it? Why? Oh, shit. Why not put it in the top left and the top right? That leaves the only places that are blind spots as shelf and shelf. Nemi might be based on the word nemui, meaning tired, while tin pillar comes from the word chinpira, meaning hoodlum. Tully might be based off the word katari, meaning tiresome. Okay, gotcha. You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in they stand were not caught on camera.
It's a bit of friar tuck, eh, bruv? Lady looks loves a skulking.
Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin?
It must have been just after 1. Right, bruv? Must have been, Nash. Must have been. Yeah, just gone on 1.
In which case, minutes before the brothers entered the establishment, What scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Oh, that's bad. That's real bad. Good lord! It's the defendant! Miss Gina Lestrade. That is, that's very bad, yeah. Found a video that has the Revis theme song. Do you mean the opening theme? Did Revis even start airing? Is Saber over? I've lost track at when Kamen Rider begins and ends now. I know it used to be September, but it was, I think it was like December before that. I'm a mess. As the court can clearly see. The accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
I don't believe it. Ginny.
In short, the accused is the only person who could have possibly killed Mr. Winterbank. Saber is over and Revice's first episode just aired. I will have to take a look at that eventually. Yeah, Gina really picked a bad 30-minute interval. She was in there too when we were talking with her about that. I say, my lord. Wonder if I might put a word in at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand. Right here, don't you know? Decorated for it and all, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. Battle of daily life, if you like. Here I am now, leading this small squadron. 6 men, all good and true. And we all go down together, you mark my words. One for all and one for all. Oh, for one and one for all, rather. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Gyaradim Squadron's position, sir. Bullet to the knee, Fuck. I used to be a young adventurer like you, but then I got shot in my fucking knee. Let me tell you, that shit fucking hurts. Status report to the court, men, on the double.
His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions, too. I think you'll find the truth is as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it.
I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember.
Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop.
I wonder if this is if this is accurate Morse. I am very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I'll now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
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 Holy shit, that fucking voice. Guilty. And
does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already.
That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned.
But Ginny didn't shoot him.
No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes its right to assert its right to a summation examination.
Very well. The court grants permission.
So you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. Yeah, the mouse is adorable. We shall proceed immediately to the summation examination. I definitely almost read that as summation execution, and I just expected the judge to pull out a fucking musket.
Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready?
Absolutely, sir.
Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you've determined the defendant to be guilty.
All the evidence clearly points to the finger of guilt at this young pickpocket in... Pickpocketienne? I'm assuming that's a feminine version of pickpocket? Maybe? As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. So you're judging her just based off how she is as a person in her past, and now in a specific case? Gotcha. I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. What? If I left it in there, I should have thought there was repercussions by now. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict. Follow. Stop. In motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. The jurors aren't who's being... What? You're juror number 3. No execution. But Kaito... Gun.
The circumstances of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively.
The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and accused were discovered alone. This game has 2 fucking locked room cases, holy shit. Actually, wait a sec. Damn near every case in this game's been a locked room case. Now that I think about it. Case 1 wasn't really. Case 2 was. Case 3... they were locked in the thing. They didn't know. Then on the bus. Case 4 was the only one that actively took place outside. Huh. The execution comes later. And in the accused's hands, the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses.
Not to mention this print.
Take it from a chap who'd seen action on the battlefield. That young girl's on the verge of pulling the bullet trigger. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh dear, Hurley's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder.
I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you.
But Gina doesn't shoot Mr. Winterbank. Gina didn't. Which means there's more to the situation that we've yet to see.
Agreed.
You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. I'm looking for weaknesses in this. You're just not doing this correctly. Polishing the bench, I see. Again.
A maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain.
What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores?
On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pick-purses, and crossmen. The scum of the earth.
Little harsh, perhaps?
Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least you would have people like a great detective working to achieve these important goals.
You're referring to Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
That's correct. I like to keep abreast of his exploits while reading Matt's magazine between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid at the capital.
Please tell me someone's drawn that. Tell me there's fan art of that. Mr. Sholmes? A maid.
It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. The brothers aren't the ones on fucking trial here! Minor detail, it was the two brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant. A very minor detail again. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned.
Almost positive. Yeah, probably.
Well, it might just be an idea to get our facts straight away. Yes, alright, I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for the shooting detective.
Alright, and someone else brought that up. I believe it was number 6.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict one another.
Good lord, counsel, explain yourself.
Oh my statement? Contradictory.
Contradiction. Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick. I have a mouse. As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene of the night, they fired a shot from their revolver.
Yes, they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand.
Have a good night, Ma. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen.
Sir?
Sorry. My English is still learning.
You
Are telling the court you didn't hear. Forgive me, I did not hear. Here is word. Abdomen, part of person's body containing stomach or other vital organs. Is this what you mean? You should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker. Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again? So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? They said before we never done nothing, but in truth, they shot detective. This is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right.
No! Don't squeeze him!
Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. This means, when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police reports, no stolen goods were found, but... Enough. I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be possible. Yes, it is, Runo. Easily. Sorry? But the print from Hurley's red-handed recorder. Ah. If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from the half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Cooey, Mr. Prosecutor. Tut, calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of old times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later after the brothers' flight. So this was taken after Hurley was shot then. As far as I can tell, nothing's been taken. Something moved there. That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything obviously missing from the second print. So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot men, but they stole nothing. Well, it seems so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right. I did not understand the situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue with trial.
Yay, well done, Runo. The balance is shifting.
Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can do that, we might turn the situation to our favor still. Thank you, Counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence. Another print in the photographic record. Court record. Wonder what we can make use of that. Alright, let's take a look at it. There's gotta be some other difference. I wish there was a way just to press L or R to swap between the photos right now. Those pages look the same. Something feels different, but I can't put my fucking finger on it. No, I would probably just tackle that one. It's more relevant, I suppose. Alright. You didn't swap, which is worrisome, but oh well. Why is your mind made up? You're not giving any actual reason. You just think it is. Sorry, radio transmission. What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey. Ah, but now we use the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electric signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed? That makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You are well informed, young lady. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. And just when I was trying to catch up. Radio transmission is the way of the future. Stop. Messages carried out over airwaves to 4 corners of the globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Error of wireless technology. Telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What utterly piffle. I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys. Do you have something to say, juror number 3, as you look like you're about to stab someone because it almost looks like a knife?
Excuse me.
Juror number 3, sorry to interrupt you when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on, I dare you. Goodness, are you talking to me? I think he might just be, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you? Huh? Absolutely. I mean, really. A machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions. Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know! Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope... Oh... I think I see what we're gonna do here. And that's me saying it. I'm President JFK. I've been dead for 50 years. Closing on 60, I think. I can reveal hidden clues you never noticed before. What? Have you got any, Bruno? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope? Oh, yeah.
How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
All right then, juror number 3. Are you saying that you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can! Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'll be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all.
Take that!
All right, these 2 prints were both taken within the same camera at Winterbanks on the night in question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer. You know how stereographing images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right images need to be the same, only with a slight shift of the positions of some objects. Then, when your brain merges the 2 images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly! It's that small shift between certain objects in the 2 pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use 2 photographs that are exactly the same, then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the same 3-dimensionally, anyway. Oh! Of course, now I see. I think the young girl's discovered the secret. I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? No! Have another look at these 2 pictures from Hurley's cameras, Runo. Go on. Can you see there's a really obvious difference between the 2 of them? Oh! Okay. Why didn't I look at the lamp before? Of course there is. There are 2 people in the first and no people in the second. Well, yes, you can see that straight away, but now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Well, right, I'll give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes to make sure the pictures overlap exactly. Let's see if I cross my eyes, I can make the quill of the pens and the things overlap. Wait. This mechanic doesn't really work as well when you're not playing it on a 3DS, it seems. What's going on with these 2 pictures? I was looking at the very broken lamp. Not up there. Some of the things on the counter they sort of just jump out at you. Yes, that's it, you see? That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power?
Is someone going to explain this black magic, eh? Why the deuce do some of the things on the camera seem to jump out at you like that, hmm?
I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope? As I said before, if you try to look at 2 identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't look at all. It's the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures in 3 dimensions. In other words... Oh, they are shifted over like a solid inch. I was just looking for things missing, not moved. Okay. Even though at first glance it seems that the objects in the 2 counters haven't moved at all between the pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yes, there must have been.
Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does this shift between the 2 prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master.
What? I haven't the first idea. You know, Runo, it's quite simple. It is? Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1. Then 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appear to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means sometime in that half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter.
Zookers!
Someone tampered! New information. Stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far. Stop. Yeah. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. You know that items on the countertop were moved, but by whom?
Are you suggesting you might know?
Of course.
I can tell you right now who was responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items on the counter.
Fucking Ringo. Motherfucking Ringo.
Take that!
It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers.
Wait. This does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrasebook says dukes is meaning hands and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is this what you are saying?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Now, hold on a minute. You can't be sure of that.
I quite agree. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely.
And why exactly?
As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Winterbank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interests lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. But the accused is a pick purse, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact worse, than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the ground that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given to her by two thieves?
Well said.
Everyone, would like to hear more of that shady pair. Oh, my fucking head! Why did I do that?
That man fucking dedicated. Oh, that was beautiful. Can you all see now? Think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Gotta keep the hands sterile. I don't know. Doctors in 1900 weren't exactly the best at that themselves. Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. Must purchase after trial. Stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop.
Well, it would seem this trial is yet to run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call the summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 to not. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I order this trial to continue.
Yay, well done. Oh, by the way,
What?
You should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright.
Lord Van Zeeks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them.
I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. I've one other chance to probe that pair about their activities that night at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proved in that Gina is innocent. To be continued already? I feel we haven't done enough to warrant that. Why am I already leaning forward?
Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. I presume you heard the defense's counsel's summation examination.
oh yeah, Governor.
I did, Gov. I did.
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Oh, blimey.
This is gonna be a hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windibanks. However, that was a lie. You brothers...
God blimey.
On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter.
We never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out?
Ringo!
Yeah. You're a fucking idiot. I know, Gov. You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time you will tell the truth.
Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. Oh, fuck, why do I keep doing that? And that, gentlemen, may crush a dealing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps.
Say no more, Gov. We hear ya. We're blab, we're squeak, we're peach. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshot, see. Made us both jump and all that stuff went flying.
I mean, it didn't have to give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter had come out of the door and got us next.
We stuck everything back where we found it and scalped. It's great. Straight into him in the black.
We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We even had a chance, did we?
So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Windibank's countertop on the night in question. I did say that, didn't I? Shit. Look, he's really working through those fucking terror-proof gloves with that many glasses. He's hurting himself. His brain's not exactly working right anymore because he's so concentrated on... Ow, my hand!
Not ransack, Governor, no.
That's right, Nash. That's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah.
Sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbroker under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made their good mess.
The way you say it, I don't sound like grubs at all. We don't, Nash. We don't. Can you make us sound a bit more cutthroat?
It can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Windibanks that night. There's more to their testimony than meets in the eye. I'm sure of it. Oh god, cats. Sai, welcome to my life when I was raising Zelda. When she was just a tiny little thing with needles for fingers. Constantly trying to get into chords. Not so much anymore now. Now this is technically not true because they could have shot through the window. Is there anything else? Wouldn't you have heard, like, maybe talking or yelling over there then? Maybe? Late night zoomies. Yeah, that's how it be. So what you're saying is... the sound of the gunshot shot you so much you knocked all those things off the counter?
Well, it took one of us that much, yeah.
His back and his needs to keep his shirt on.
Look, it was loud, all right. Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up that bang.
Big bruv here screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books and a candlestick and some skull and whatnot.
That got tangled up in some marionette, got knocked over a picture frame, and what knocked over them skulls on the floor.
You've really mastered working quietly then.
What a racket. Me granny would have scared back to a grave with a clatter like that.
So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise.
It ain't some. He was quiet as a mouse and then all of a sudden, bam!
Excuse me.
Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add?
Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being looped in with these scoundrels.
No, something to add about their testimony. You seem to react just now to what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something?
It's probably nothing, of course. I won't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, I just don't get sold if you ignore the little details.
How about you just tell us what's on your mind?
As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for the questioning last night. And the statement they gave them told a slightly different story to what they're saying now.
Did it?
You claimed you heard the victim shouting something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas? If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them.
Easy, easy.
We'll get it right this time.
I said, yep, it's all come back to me now.
Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs.
Right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun."
To me, that sounds like Windabank was probably doing his whole usual points gun at own head thing, and it was probably Gina trying to get it back so that he didn't kill himself. Would that be what they were doing at that point? Well, first off, you didn't put exactly where you found it, but you put it back remarkably close. It's almost impressive.
Hold it!
Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, yeah, we was a bit nasty there. Bit hasty, rather.
We was nasty, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you all turned up.
I'm only just realizing Iris is barely like a head and a half above the fucking bench.
If you're shaking like a leaf, then don't put a loaded gun in your hand.
Good advice, miss, good advice.
Truth be told, me man, no totally blank. Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand. Mental note, mate, miss.
After that, we laid it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or something. So they clapped the derbies on us like a winking.
And after you had been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct?
Well, yeah.
Well, listen, that proves it, doesn't it, eh?
Oh, wait, I missed that new line, apparently. The bloke owned this place was holding a gun, so he could have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. Well, shit, that's the big thing here. He was holding the gun, but yet he's the one who got shot? So you're saying that night in question, the victim, Mr. Windabank, was wielding a gun? Is that correct?
That's it, Gov. You got the picture.
Yes, Nash, yes, no question.
And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Winterbank was not holding a firearm of any description.
You what?
Man, so many of these fucking voices I have to do are basically me just going, "You what, mate?" in like 80 different voices.
Colin Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection!
There can be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Winterbank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand.
Yeah, that mole tool used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun. Bam.
Kind of thing.
Hold it!
Stay exactly where you are, right there.
Eh?
If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out.
Goodness, are you sure, counsel?
You intrigue me, my learned friend. But let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the final moments? Based off the wound, it should be the, that's the representation red. Actually, there's magic evidence for that? No, I am looking for... Where's the autopsy reports? There you are. It's the posterior anterior, so that he got shot in the fucking back.
Take that!
According to their testimony, witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot.
Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, also we've been led to believe.
Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony were true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind.
Ah.
So, as I stated before, there is undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Mr. and Mr. I think I said Mrs. and Mr. there. I'm not used to hearing Mr. and Mr. next to each other like that.
But it's the God's honest truth.
It is, Nash, it is. Well, it was shot that night.
The shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our bleeding eyes.
Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Winterbank holding a gun?
Some, like, yeah, might have slipped out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw, with their own eyes, the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person.
Nash, Order, order, order! Witnesses, explain yourselves at once.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't supposed to,
It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you. Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies?
I am so sorry, Governor. Truth is, we,
Cut it out, Nash, cut it out! We blab now, you know what it'll do to us.
He? Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you.
Bruv, come on, the game's up.
But he'll have a guts for fucking garters.
In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place.
Well,
Do we have to?
on pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Otherwise, I will kill you myself with my gloved, wine-stained hands.
Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. For no geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He took me over the counter. I put me gun on him and then he legged it through that door in the back room. We never had anything to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear.
So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Well, we find ourselves in an interesting conjuncture. This changes matters considerably.
But honest, Governor, it's time.
This time we ain't got nothing more to hide.
Very well. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. So you already had your gun primed when you ran in, at which point we probably charged in. But is that still entirely true? You probably could have let him right into his actual killer. Assuming it wasn't you two, which I honestly doubt it was.
Hold it!
You say you had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all.
Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shoved himself inside the back room, didn't he?
Locked it was from the inside.
We know it was because we tried to open it.
But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch.
So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused Miss Gina Lestrade.
It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, counsel?
I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could have possibly shot Mr. Winterbank? For the sake of making her not guilty, there has to have been. I'm just not sure who yet. Oh, wait, no, actually, no, it could easily have been them, because they could just lift the fucking... the door in the door. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. What?
What's that look for?
From the moment you admitted that you had encountered the victim face-to-face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did?
What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Winterbank? And it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to the plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answers to the question of who shot the man there could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of two conundrums. Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe? Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Understood, my lord. Are you alright, Runo? I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answer to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. On this side of the door.
Take that!
The defense believes that the defense could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the victim had fired from that location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
Take that!
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Winterbank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the scene of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony, if Mr. Winterbank ran away through the door, we had to assume that door was open at the time. Ah! It was at that precise moment when the victim was fleeing for his life. We already know that that's not going to be what happened, Renosuke, because the one bullet they fired was at fucking Scholz. I mean... unless the rifling marks don't match on the bullets, in which case then we have a fucking potential third gun wherever the fuck that is. That these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? Poor man, shot while he was running away as fast as he could to safety. Ah, of course! He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory. So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Winterbank. If anything, they could even be taller.
Objection!
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? But what if someone else locked the door? Yes, there has to be someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? It was probably fucking Gina. Where are you? There you are.
Take that!
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions will only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel? Ah, yeah. That's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Have to make notions. I have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please. But of course, Ginny would have locked the door. Almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Oh, yeah, obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Winterbank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Winterbank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? It's us, bruv. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back to the storeroom hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Winterbank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves is, what would the defendant have done in that moment?
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Winterbank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it. In order to save her own life.
Ah.
But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it.
We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on. We never shoot no one.
Protection.
That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah.
There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Winterbank's murder.
No.
Where does this leave us?
Wait a second, wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look shady as a dense forest.
That was amazing, Runo. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now.
I know, first time ever, and probably the last.
Well, I think you've done it. Surely they have another verdict. They have to give another verdict. I'm not.
Oh, an admirable effort, my little friend. What's this now? He's laughing?
You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zeeks?
I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive. I dare say, such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than excusable pettifoggery here.
What?
The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw.
A fatal flaw?
Do you mean to tell me you're unaware of your logic's failing?
I say it, Lord Van Zeeks. Might be an idea to explain this bally conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops of the ground, huh?
Oh no! So I'm not sure if you guys are following the whole Sonic Colors Ultimate thing. Oh no. Turns out one of the major glitch videos was just found to be faked by someone using a Yuzu emulator. Oh no. That caused such an uproar that I think Sega and Nintendo both offered refunds for the game that isn't that glitched up. Oh, they're gonna get slammed with a goddamn lawsuit so fucking hard, Capcom's gonna feel it and want to write a game about it. The fatal flaw in my loaded friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets.
By George, count bullets!
Oh dear. He noticed then.
Huh? What's everyone talking about? Ryunosuke, no. Ryunosuke. Counsel.
Yes, sir?
Tell the court how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime. Two bullets. Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. Speaking of which, that pisses me off. I went into a conversation with this with my friend Dove earlier. Aaron only being excited to play it because he could shit on it pisses me the fuck off. Because to me, it just shows he doesn't want to enjoy games for his content. He just wants to make fun of them. And that's not how you should approach this stuff. Like, yeah, it's one thing to make fun of a bad game. Ha Sonic 06 bad. Yeah, it is. Shadow the Hedgehog bad. Ha, yeah. Angry Video Game Nerd basically patroned that entire fucking genre of internet video back in 2006 or whatever. But there's still a level of care you have to do, you know? The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Winterbank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each. Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes.
Yes, I did. Oh my goodness, I think you'll find.
If the single bullet was fired from the brother's hit gun, hit Mr. Sholmes, it means...
Mr. Winterbank was not shot by the same gun. Stop. Only 1 bullet. Stop.
Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary tactic with no hope standing up to scrutiny.
Order, order, order!
Fuck! Stop throwing those at me, man! I have to pick a new fucking seat.
My apologies, but you really should learn to just not sit there at this point. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery.
No!
Lord Van Zeeks. The only way I can watch Game Grumps now, outside of watching the occasional playthrough here and there, like I'm watching the Super Mario RPG one, it's tearing me apart in like 3 different ways, is compilations, because then you don't get all the bullshit. You just get the funny stuff. But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can regrettably no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. K. Technically not relevant to this case. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print which depicts her threatening the victim with a murder weapon. I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. That disc! Yeah, that must be the music box disc. That's McGilda's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Winterbank, the accused attempted to make off with this article which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, might I add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious! Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl will not stoop to if punished. No crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel. As a grim testament to the... Oh, jeez. Lord Van Zeeks, Inspector Gregson? What? Yes, Inspector. We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What's all this about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all. I'm unaware of any such meeting.
But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent.
Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord.
Indeed. Bailiff.
Confusion. Why? If it's McGilded's disc, the government probably has what they can use to fucking read it, but why? The prosecution has enabled the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add.
Oh, Bruno, look. This is blood.
Yeah, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before.
Ha, it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. All right, hold still that disc, Bruno. Can we get this done quickly, Aros? In a flash.
Herlock's blood. At least assuming I'm right and that green is Herlock.
Ooh, a lovely bright shade again.
Or at least the same type as Herlock. Wait, that color.
What is it?
It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? Alright, anything else?
For McGilded. That's the man you defended in court a couple months ago, isn't it, Bruno?
Yeah, rather mistakenly defended.
I wonder what his name is doing on the back of this disc.
That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case.
I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once for all of 5 minutes. Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Bruno.
My lord! What if I might say something at this point? Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog up until now, left truth be told, but all of a sudden... The answer's bally obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it.
Oh no.
Very well. The court will hear from the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your learnings at meetings to defense's culpability. Defendant's complete.
Guilty.
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 Who the fuck is the Russian's voice actor? I recognize that growl.
We have a consensus among the jury, it seems.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Hey, that's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. How dare you use it against us?
Don't worry, Iris, I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's only one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Winterbank. That's beyond any doubt.
Very well. We'll proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Garradib squadron's primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what ground you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, there was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
What? The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns.
Huh?
It would seem there was a little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in the black. When that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that jolly well I'd been hoodwinked. Well, no more.
This whole courtroom's turning against me.
It's not fair, Iris. That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Jeannie's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past doesn't make her a murderer.
Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out. Eventually.
That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
Yes, my lord. The only weak spot I noted right then and there, the doctor's off on his own little world right now.
Hold it!
Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with the trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it's nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Huh?
I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet simply vanished from his stomach.
This is her fucking Herlock's operator.
It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
I almost don't want to ask, but the surgeon you've been muttering about this whole time, you were operating on...
What was the fellow's name now? Herlick? No, Herlock? No, Herlock.
Herlock Sholmes by any chance?
Yes, good lord. Who was that Herlock fellow?
What? You're the surgeon operator, Mr. Sholmes?
That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, might I add. It's a fairly major op, I can tell you.
This is crazy.
Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They say he'd been shot by some criminal or other. Strung him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his inside to the fine-tooth comb. I couldn't find a bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but...
Yeah?
Surely that's because the bullet's still at the scene of the shooting.
The counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and logged the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door.
I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally.
Huh? Who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a pancake. Are you saying you checked his back?
Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign the bullet had left the body at all.
What?
That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere else in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can someone explain how it happened? Can someone please solve the mystery?
It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury is put together. I just knocked something the fuck over. Give me a second. I'm sorry, Blitzwing. And Bumblebee, for that matter.
Hold it!
Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Actually, I might as well just read this. Mr. Sholmes, searches on the jury. I've experienced some coincidences recently, but this is ridiculous.
How am I surprised as anyone?
There's no question that Mr. Sholmes was shot.
Well, that's what the police thought when they brought him in.
How bad were his injuries, Doctor?
He was in a bad way. Lost a huge amount of blood, you know. And I suspect he was shot at quite close range, too. Because his skin was badly burned around the point of injury.
Burn.
As I said, I flipped the fellow over and examined his back. There's no sign of an exit wound. Which is why I thought I'd better look at the lug and pop it out.
And yet you say you found no bullet inside the patient?
Well, I wouldn't have done it, would I? Because it's in the wall of the pawnbrokers. But how did it get there? I need someone to solve this mystery before it drives me to insanity. Well, there was some expert in ballistics who could help, even if he looked extremely untrustworthy.
So we have a disappearing bullet in our hands.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other.
Oh, a ballistics expert!
Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you. This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen a very similar situation in Motherland. It was night, there was blizzard. I was running along mountain in the freezing cold. Golly. The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I heard today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound? Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me.
If it never hit you, why'd you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? We're looking at a fucking fragment wound in Herlock. A piece of that easily could have broken off. One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made a deep wound that looked just like bullet wound.
Good gracious!
Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me. And that is solution to the mystery of the disappearing bullet.
But that doesn't answer the question at all!
Huh?
The shooting happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country.
Just an idea. We might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Runo, where exactly was Hurley shot again? According to the report, in his stomach, sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears his little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have known something like that. Yeah, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass files of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in an investigation. Those things I pointed out earlier. Oh, shit. What? Really? Doctor, where's the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Huh? Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital as far as I remember.
If I may. Lord Van Zeeks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I had the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. I'm sorry? As I understand, when the police arrived on the scene and found Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Oh, thank goodness! I thought I was getting forgetful for a minute.
Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents an item in question with all speed. Bring forth Herlock Sholmes' pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that. One of the files is broken, the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch.
And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury.
This bullet did not penetrate victim, but it was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. From the bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective. The accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered.
But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young men.
Duh. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence.
Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. Because I made it. Probably.
Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling on to opinion. Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. No, we cannot. It's really scorched badly and just here.
Oh, the strap is broken, look.
That's where the bullet hit then. Let me see.
That's a fucking bullet. We got a fucking third bullet, people.
This file's been smashed to pieces. Presumably, this is where the bullet struck. As soon as the bullet hit the chemical in that file, there would have been a really big explosion.
A big explosion?
Well, Hurley's potions chemicals are amazingly useful for the investigation work he does, but they're also quite tricky to handle, safely, at least. They're very dangerous.
Oh.
I'm sure that when this file broke, the chemical inside would have ignited. Note to self, always walk on the right-hand side of Sholmes in the future. The left side is a danger zone. These glass vials are full of Hurley's homemade potions.
Homemade?
Yes, like fingerprint powder to show up where people have touched things, and scent amplifying solution to intensify smell lingering on an object. That's amazing. They're all very easy to use, there's just one thing you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable. Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb! Either he's passionate about finding out the truth, or just oblivious to the dangers. Oh look, there's a hole in the back here. It doesn't look like much of a bullet hole, but clearly something ripped through the leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow to left his... Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind, probably a piece of glass. Yeah, it looks like that. Mr. Sholmes' pouch both took a beating, didn't they? Oh, what the... Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was, do you see it? Ah, that's... the Skulkin Brothers' bullet! What a struggle luck it hit this pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night. We found exactly what that juror was talking about. The 3rd bullet. Time to press that juror again, I think. Shit, which juror was that? There's still a way to turn this around. Somehow, I'm sure of it.
Hold it!
It's never a bullet that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that were fired from them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although... Yeah? Sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose... if there was another bullet fire somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. A 3rd bullet somewhere on the scene, could that be possible? I can fucking prove it! Allow me to show you, then, the 3rd bullet.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question at Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital. And since then it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shots fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yeah, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch.
But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know that whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in his photographic print.
2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence.
Yes, that of Mr. Windibank and that of belonging to the Skulkin brothers.
And examinations of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. Ah.
But that must mean...
That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Ugh. Ugh. Order, order! While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter!
What?
Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Witnesses.
Governor!
Were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor, we was.
Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble, simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that?
Make of it, Gov. I don't make nothing of it, nothing, I can't help it.
Is it one of yours?
God blimey, Gov, God blimey, not a chance.
In that case, did you have an accomplice?
What? Never, the Skulkin brothers look alone. It's just the two of us, that's our trademark,
But you brought up a third earlier. How soon we forget poor Silky? Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it?
Lummy, that's an head scratcher.
Counsel for the defense. Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet and the mysterious firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear that this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. They did have an accomplice, because they mentioned he, vaguely. On that night at Winterbank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of the accomplice, but the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pig's will. Oh, pig's will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a third man. This apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence, that this accomplice was ever on the scene of the crime. Oh my god. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. The Skulkins are lying, I know that. But since there wasn't an exit wound, that means that blood isn't Herlock's. Which means it's our mysterious third man. And I think we remember who that fucking music disc's blood was now that I think about it. That wasn't fucking Herlock's. How can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel, I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity, even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready to present answers. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponi's friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it'll make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof do you have there was a third intruder on the scene?
Take that!
The evidence is right here in this portfolio. By Jove, the portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of a third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Take that!
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a bloodstain, my lord. A bloodstain? Green blood. Curious even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some inhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
By the great detective!
New invention. Stop. Have yet appeared in stories. Stop.
It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements of people's blood to change its color.
Different elements? Of people's blood?
Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. By seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Winterbank.
Ah, striking blue.
Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop.
Now hold fire there, young men. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it?
No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Winterbank was killed.
By golly.
Therefore, we can assume whoever was shot on the same day.
And whose blood was it?
Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering any gunshot injuries, which means it must be the blood of somebody else, the third intruder, in fact.
Objection.
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder?
It's motherfucking Eggy.
Take that.
The man's name is Eggert Benedict.
Eggert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, counsel?
He paid a visit to Winterbank's pawnbroker in the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive a pawnbroker by releasing this article into possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector?
Hey, yes, my lord, that's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Winterbank for a print showing the fellow.
Taking one of his red-handed recorder gubbins.
Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Winterbank that morning. And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice. Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin?
Never seen the geezer before in my life. On my life, Gov, on my life. Never seen him.
Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree on the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence. I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm gonna drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom.
Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel?
Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photograph was, in fact, the person struck by the third bullet. It's the blood again. That proof is right here in this portfolio.
Good gracious, counsel. Does that portfolio contain the answers to every question posed?
So far, nearly. I see you share my interest in claret-colored liquids, my Nipponese friend. But enough. The court demands to see further evidence. Which blood sample proves the man you identified was the one shot by the third bullet at the scene of the crime?
Take that!
Same color. As I mentioned before, on the day in the afternoon in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Winterbanks. Which is when the aforementioned Eggert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man intended to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time.
It was following this that a minor incident occurred. Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed. And the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now.
Goodness, a bloodstain, is it?
My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom. Using my trusty fogger gun. What's up, Mother Fogger, indeed. Yes, and we add the results to this portfolio.
I say.
It's green. It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Egbert Benedict, who was in Winterbanks earlier that very day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. Or at least has the same blood type. Look at those two brothers now, they're sweating buckets. Oi, what are you talking about? It's more than an E. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Egbert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify.
It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. There's this flagrant ignoring of the mechanics of the law. Herlock Sholmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes, a god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court of the land. Do you expect us to take you seriously? The sample made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world could turn the same color. Well... Leg! And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction a load of rubbish? I don't know. I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with that. I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention wasn't going to be recognized by an official body. What a choice do I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination? In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Good grief, what did you just say, young girl?
And in a summation examination, the decision is whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter how certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now.
Yes, she's right! Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced with what you say, Runo. Is that about right? What'd you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with. Don't fuck with Iris. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Two call guilty, and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds?
If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. The trial will continue. My lord, with all due respect, what the fuck? Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very recently requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that would be impossible.
What?
The name the gentleman gave for himself, Egbert Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it.
Just when I managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something?
Who was that, please? Who spoke?
It was me, my lord.
Juror number 5? What have you to say, madam?
If possible, Inspector.
Eh? Me? Ma'am?
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown.
Ah, right, yes, this one you mean. Mr. Benedict?
Yes, there's no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man?
Yes, I know him.
What? No. Good gracious!
What kind of coincidence is this?
Order, order, order! Juror number 5, how on earth?
I'm a communications officer, stop.
As we can clearly see.
The gentleman in the photograph is, stop, also a communications officer, stop. He works in my office, stop. Very talented operator, in fact, stop. He should be in the communication station now, stop. He's tapping away at the telegraph, stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right.
I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal? It's a bit unexpected to find out he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night.
Yeah, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. I'm sorry, I didn't say that line. Lord Van Zeeks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste. As your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson. Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. This case is fucking insane. Ah, Gina, how you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now.
Ginny! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything?
This case is going places. It's got places to go still? Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess they kind of have to bring in them gilded stuff somehow, don't they? Oh, fuck.
What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight for so hard? For the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it, that picture.
What picture?
Oh, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed rope recorder? Oh, my neck. Well, I didn't think you would have captured a scene like that, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone sees that thing, I'll think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. Surely you gotta have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent.
Of course I can.
Ginny, why don't you talk to us?
Tell us what really happened that night.
Runo's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still. We'd really like to hear it from you. Alright then. It was after we'd had that dinner at your place, alright, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember.
After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped down and went down the street to the 2-1, to Winterbank's place. I had to know. If I was the story was there or not, the Hound or the Baskervilles. I don't know what it's about or nothing, but if you ask me if there's something in there that Sholmes don't like, something what he don't want people reading. So that's why I lied to Iris about sticking it in log with the Winterbank for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time.
So you broke into Winterbanks.
I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea I was gonna kick off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark like you like, as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick. And that's when...
What do you think you're doing? Ah!
I nearly died, I did. Next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter, I was waving around like... I don't know what.
Ah, you're the girl who was in here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went for armed robbery.
The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story?
I beg your pardon.
The Hound of the... something or other. If it's here, I want to see it.
I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers.
I don't want to... What would I want with it? What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see if it's here, that's all.
Oh, you want to see it, do you?
I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go.
Oh. Very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you?
So then the old cove unlocked the cell room door and we both went inside. And it was there alright. The manuscripts. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny? Anyway, then there was this bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop.
The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes.
What was that noise? Someone's breaking in!
Dear me, is there some burglaries convention here tonight that I don't know about?
I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry.
I better go and take care of it.
Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you and...
Now, don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances.
And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom, like you said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. So look, they got into a bit of a scrap. Sort of think I should help, see? So I was just about to go into the storeroom myself when...
2 gunshots. Simultaneously.
I had a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it as quick as you like.
Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Winterbank might come for you?
Yeah, so I went to grab the old cub's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at the least. When I got a better look at him, I knew. Winterbank was a goner. I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kind of dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing.
That must be when you passed out, Gina.
If I hadn't done what I'd done, the old cub might still be alive.
You tell the police everything you just told us?
Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, I'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Jeannie. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Runa's about to pull the real culprit through the mill. That cove what was there in the afternoon? That Eggert Benedict. Somehow he looked at me like I was nothing. He was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced he's involved somehow.
Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty.
You what? You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Jenny. Mr. Arnara. Yeah? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? I mean, come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGill did. We told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bug trot all my fault for them. You know he was a killer.
No, I can never forget that.
Oh.
I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side until the bitter end, no matter what.
But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another kill off the hook for all you know.
I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial.
You were?
Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it was me who had done it.
Oh, Runo.
But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. He was certified in it, even. Music's powerful, I'm tearing the fuck up. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first.
What are you saying?
I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down.
Let the hydration flow. I need to replenish the eye water. Thank you, Wolf.
Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar, you're not like McGilded. I know that.
Eh? That's right. You're our friend, Ginny. Iris.
We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust.
Yeah,
That's really all we need to know.
exactly. Mr. Naruto, I...
Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. I had been both a defendant and a defendant lawyer in my time. So I only knew too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner. I'm torn because we're definitely getting towards the end. I'm not finishing the game tonight. But maybe it's because I just haven't had the big reveal happen yet. This doesn't feel like the atmosphere of like a final trial segment. You know what I mean? Like going into with Kristoff in Apollo Justice, with Godo, or with Bitch McGhostyface in the third game, whose name escapes me at the minute. Shit. Matt Ongard, fucking Von Karma, or Gaunt for that matter. I feel like we're missing that feeling right now. Dahlia, thank you. I was like, what the fuck was her name? I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zeeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station with the manworks immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let's turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's precise presence of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake. My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay, and I'm sure your mustache will grow in sooner or later. Thank you, my lord. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon, and certainly not like this. I mean, I also brought up specifically, like, Godo right before it, so the association probably helps. Thank you for complying with the court subpoena at thank you for complying with the court subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it's my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at the London Central Communications Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Oh shit, those are almost the same voice. Might wanna alter Ashley. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you, under oath. Gladly, my lord. Gladly. Now, you see, for me, it's almost the opposite. Actually, wait, no, I can basically remember at least the order of cases and the killers. How they did it, as we've learned, not so much. And sometimes the victims, not so much. But I think that should be a good point to end it. We're a little early by about 4 minutes, but that's not too bad. I feel like a whole cross-examination and all that, we're definitely not going to have the time for that. But definitely, we're probably finishing this game next time. Oh, shit. No, I didn't mean to press that button. No, stop. And you know what? Just so we can finish this game, we would be finishing it on Tuesday no matter what, but I feel like I really want to finish this. I'm probably going to go live tomorrow as well. I might do it a little earlier or a little later. Not sure yet. But we're going to be finishing this game tomorrow. I'm assuming I can finish what we got left in like 4 hours, right? Kaito, Sai, you think I could? If not, I could definitely go a longer stream in the case it's a little not. Because, as I mentioned before, Wednesday, the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster comes out, and I want to do that next before I move on to Great Ace Attorney Investigation. Great Ace Attorney 2. Not the first time we've done a Sunday stream for something special like that, admittedly, but probably won't be the last either. While I'm waiting on Kaito to get back to me, I'm gonna do my usual outro. I want to thank y'all for coming by tonight. Kaito, Sai, Wind, and anyone else who's been lurking in our chat, and thanks for coming by. Every viewer matters when you're this small of a streamer. Let's find out who we're gonna raid. I didn't mean to click that. 3-ish hours? Yeah, I could definitely finish this tomorrow. Then maybe just... I might do Tuesday's stream a little bit then, too. Because my plan is to play Super Metroid on Tuesday, otherwise. Alright, who's live? Who is live right now? I'm not rating him. Not rating that game. Onimusha Tactics is tempting. Specs live again with Minecraft. Cubes live with Balloon Kid, and that's all the people I would raid. Although Reish is playing BN3. Specialized subsequent streams. What's Balloon Kid? Oh, wait, it's this game. It's just the Game Boy version of it. I think. Well, you know what? I'll let you guys decide. What do you want to see? You want to go to Minecraft, to a Game Boy game, or to Mega Man Battle Network 3 speedruns? Because the other person I'm looking at is Reish, who's currently doing sub 253 attempts on BN3. Actually, I wonder, is Smog and shit? Yeah, probably is. Yeah, you know what? Not sure what the delay is like, but we're gonna raid Reish. Dude's a real chill BN speedrunner. Send some love his way. And yeah, I don't have an outro, so I'm just gonna cut myself off in the middle of my sentence because I'm a truly professional streamer who does not know how to end a sentence.